It was a really horrifying scene. He found his sister's lifeless body in the bathtub. The perpetrator had left the water running. Her legs and hands were bound. Her mouth was tied shut, and she had a deep wound in the neck caused by a knife, which led to her demise. The police arrived at the scene at around 3:30 p.m. Surprisingly, the crime scene wasn't contaminated yet, and after ferrying Monica's body to Chiromo mortuary, the investigations began. By this time, Joey was already up, and the severity of his actions the night before was weighing on him heavily. He was agitated even further when Brian Kasaine, his neighbor, turned up at their residence to borrow Maribe's car to go and pick his son from school. Kasaine took this chance to ask Joey why he needed paraffin the previous night. Joey gave him an excuse that he was on a security assignment, but Kasaine wasn't buying it, as testified in court. He chose to mind his business and just took the car and left. At 9 p.m. that night, JACKIE MARIBE would eerily announce the passing of Monica Kimani on the news, but at the moment nobody knew the depths of her involvement in the murder. She later claimed that she herself was oblivious too. She made her way back home that night at around 1 a.m. and to her surprise, her masculine bad boy fiancé was in tears. He was very vague about what was bothering him, choosing to tell JACKIE that he loved her, then locked himself in a closet. Without hesitation, he shot himself. It is unclear whether he was attempting suicide or whether he wanted to make up a story about self-defense, because he knew the walls were closing in on him and he would eventually get caught. I lean more towards the latter because the court document says that one of the reasons why the judge allowed bail was that he was determined by a psychiatrist to not have any suicidal ideations. Maribe ran to his aid, then realizing it was a gunshot wound, she ran for her cell phone. When she came back, Joey was nowhere to be seen. She looked outside the window and located him at their neighbor's house, Brian Kasaine. Kasaine would later testify that he opened his gate to the pair. Then a panic-stricken Maribe informed him of the situation. Joey was in a haze. He was rambling incoherently, then occasionally shouting at Maribe to just dump him if she wanted to, and stuff like that. Maribe, Brian, and his wife Catherine rushed Joey to Langata Hospital, where the doctors were reluctant to treat a gunshot wound without a police report. So they found another hospital that will do just that. At this point, Monica's gruesome incident was all over the news, and the police were looking for the person or people responsible. Joey then went online to post pictures of himself in bandages, trying to establish proof that he indeed got shot. Things cooled down for the rest of the day and the day after, until Joey was named as a person of interest in Monica's murder the same day he went to report his shooting. The Langata police instead took a full 48 hours to realize that their shooting victim was the same murder suspect Kilimani police were looking for. On Monday, 24th September 2018, Joey was arrested officially and charged with the murder of Monica Kimani. It was believed that Maribe went on the run soon after because she was complicit in the murder, but it turned out that she was just seeking her father's advice and disconnecting from social media because, of course, by now, the infamous Kenyans on Twitter were attacking her and sending mean comments her way. She turned herself in soon after, as well as Brian Kasaine. Monica was buried that Friday, surrounded by friends and family who had loved her deeply all through her life. In a controversial move, JACKIE MARIBE was charged as a co-conspirator to the murder. Maribe was released on bail a month later, on 30th October 2018, awaiting the trial, while Joey sat in committee maximum prison for about 2 years before his bail was finally granted. And this was the beginning of Joey's attempt to clean up his image and be the altar boy the world never thought he was. Deciding to embrace Christianity to the extreme, he released a number of gospel songs. I mean, we'll never know if his Christianity is authentic or not. Joey released several songs to the public awaiting trial, maybe hoping this will help prove his innocence. The trial officially commenced in 2024, where everything talked about in this video came to light. Jowie was convicted thanks to the testimony of Brian Kasaine, Maribe's house help Pamela, security guards at Lamuria Gardens, Monica's neighbors, and her brother George. The key piece evidence, of course, being the forensics and the burnt clothing that were discovered at Maribe's residence and later determined to be Jowie's. A level-headed court acquitted Jackie of all charges and is regarded innocent by the court of law. But unfortunately, the damage was done. She had already lost her precious job and her image as Kenya's darling. Maribe's lawyer stated that there was no material linking Maribe to the murder, no DNA or fingerprint evidence between Maribe and Monica, no phone data to prove that she communicated to Monica in any way whatsoever. She also provided Maribe's timings, events, and alibis of that whole day that the alleged murder occurred. In the end, justice was served and the true perpetrator was surrounded by walls and steel bars waiting for sentencing, which would come sooner than expected, as on 13th March 2024, Justice Grace Nzioka sentenced him to death under Section 204 of the Penal Code of Kenya for the crime of murder. Justice Nzioka's reasoning was that the premeditation of the murder and the impact it had on the victim's family was a direct violation of the sanctity of life, and it was unacceptable. To his family, 33-year-old Joseph Irungu is a great man, but to the prosecution, he's a cold-blooded killer. I'd like to remind everyone that this story is about Monica Kimani. She was about to turn 29, about to get married to her fiancé, Yasin Mohammed, and she had a whole life ahead of her, which was tragically cut short by Jowie. He was sentenced to death, which in Kenya means he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Monica can now rest in peace. The trial lasted almost 6 years, but justice has been served. May her family find peace and comfort. Jowie's motive to commit this gruesome act remains unknown to this day, but allegedly there are few theories out there that I won't get into. He still claims innocence to this day. Feel free to share and comment, but please be kind to the victim and show respect to the victim's family. Thank you for watching and see you next time.